Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate your time to watch our webinar back. It's a really useful one tonight. It's all about Microsoft Teams and engaging parents. So we've got the lovely Jo Stone that's going to present to us this evening. And she's going to be covering the following areas. I mean, Microsoft Teams and parents, we could cover a lot in the 45 minutes. However, there's some key areas we thought we would like to share with you. So we're going to be covering how we can engage and encourage parents to use Microsoft Teams. Obviously, that in a nutshell is why we're presenting this evening. But how can we do that? In what way can we engage parents? Another point that we're going to cover is how we can show parents how to use a learning platform and why it's important for the children in Key Stage 1 to use it proficiently. So not just only, the parents knowing how to access it, what Teams is all about, what the ins and outs of it, and how to make it as user-friendly as possible for parents, but also encouraging the children to know it proficiently as possible. We're also going to be talking about how Microsoft Teams contains all the key learning platforms and apps for pupils. So that's one-stop shop for all our pupils and what they can access through Teams. And also we'd like to show teachers how they can find additional support using Teams for parents. So I've just got a couple of questions for you, Jo, before I introduce you. No, let me introduce you first. That would be the best thing to do. So, everybody, tonight, Jo Stone is going to be presenting to us, covering the things that I've just mentioned. Jo is the lead professional for digital learning and curriculum for Discovery Schools Trust. So thank you so much, Jo. Are you okay to answer just a couple of questions before you begin with your presentation?
Absolutely, I'll give it a go.
Okay. Okay, so the first question I just thought would ask is, how do you think Teams help support learning in the classroom?
Yeah, it's a really good question, actually, because I think we still look at it as though it's a remote tool, and actually it really is about being this virtual learning hub now. It's about being a virtual classroom that runs alongside your face-to-face classroom now. And I think the more that we understand that, the more it's going to become a really great tool in the classroom, and people will really see it as that one-stop shop for everything. So it's a platform that gives you, the teacher, the pupils and the parents access to websites. You can add the websites that you would probably use in the classroom in your lessons to the team. You can add other platforms as well. So Timetable Rockstars and Century Tech can be added there. So the children can go just into Teams and access everything that they need to all in that one place. It's great for communication links. So posting messages, keeping people informed. It's brilliant for quick messages as well. So those messages that you sometimes have to send out on a little bit of a slip of paper at the end of the day, you can put those quick messages on there and reminders for parents. So, tomorrow you'll need your PE kit, please don't forget. Tomorrow we're going into to do forest schools, so make sure you bring your Wellington boots and your coat with you. So those reminders, it's a great place for those. You can also upload really useful resources, files and folders that may also be useful for parents as well as the children. Any kind of learning resources that you use in the class, things like your maths mats and English mats, those digital versions of them can be uploaded to the team, so the children have them at home to access. You can set homework on it. It's great for when you're ready to introduce a digital workbook. It's great for that. And again, Key Stage 1, you might not be ready for that just yet, but later on in a few years' time, it could be that that's what you want to use with your children. And not for every lesson, just for a couple of lessons, or just for one particular thing. It might be just recording reflections on it, or just recording what the children did that day and what their favourite part of the day was for their learning. And what's great about that digital workbook is that parents can then access that when they're at home, and they can have a quick look at it. And if their child is too tired at the end of the day to talk about what they've been learning, they can go in there and see. it's a great way to stay in touch with pupils as well who are working remotely. So you still may have some pupils that have to work remotely at home. It might not be through COVID, it might be through other reasons, and you can still set work and they can access it. And it's just great as a learning tool within lessons as well. So you can use it to signpost children, as I say, to websites in the lesson or to other resources. They can have the laptop on the table or the tablet on the table next to their workbook, and then you can use it to help them there with their learning. So there's so much, it's vast. I could keep going on, Lauren.
Absolutely. It seems like there's not much Teams can't do, which is amazing, really, because it's like the possibilities are endless and what it can offer pupils in the classroom. But what I like about what you just said as well, that there's actual growth there as well, isn't there? There's things that you can introduce in Key Stage 1, and you mentioned about the workbooks, etc., that might not be necessarily relevant for Key Stage 1 as such, but it can grow with them, and it can offer more opportunities when they get into Key Stage 2, which is great. And you've kind of touched on this already, Jo, but how do you support and engage parents with Tapestry, with Teams? I mean, you've mentioned a few bits, how you can engage with them during remote learning or when they're not in school, and obviously posting messages, etc. But is there any other ways that you can engage and support parents using Teams?
Yeah, I'm going to touch on this a bit more in the presentation, but just very briefly, really, I suppose you're absolutely right. Parents do need that support. It is something that won't be a miracle fix overnight. You will have to work at it. You will have to persevere at this. You will need to support some of them in a one-to-one way. You will need to also possibly put on some workshops where and when you can. Obviously, at the moment, that's not possible. Some open evenings or some even open mornings when we can invite parents back in. And even, I think for now, it's those kind of online virtual meetings that also might be useful to help parents, to show them what's going on, you know, just to keep them in the loop, to guide them and support them there. But whatever you can provide, really, keep working at it. Don't just drop off because you might not have had much response from parents, you know, because eventually the word will get out, parents will talk to one another, and that word will spread that there is support there, and they may come in, you might be shocked, and they may come and actually ask you for that support and say, can you show me? So it could, you know, hopefully we'll get to that stage because you've persevered with it. You know, parents will be keen to then come and ask you for some support as well.
And offering them different avenues of support, so not just kind of one size fits all for that group of parents, offering them lots of, or a few options to try and engage them as much as possible in, you know, in accessing Teams. Like you've said, you named quite a few methods of engaging there, and actually the more that you offer, the more, hopefully, the more that they'll be engaged, because you're giving them the, you know, further options, expanding that out a little bit for them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Brilliant. Well, yeah. Thank you very much for answering those questions prior to your presentation. I know you're probably going to touch on this in your presentation anyway, but without further ado, I'll hand over to Jo to start her main presentation. So thank you so much, Jo.
No, that's fine. It's thanks for introducing me. It was the other way around tonight, isn't it? It's quite nice. So yes, this next slide is just a really quick reminder for people that actually there are also other places to go for the webinars. Just before we go into this, I just wanted you to know that you can access the webinars on the Discovery Schools website. You can also see the pre-recorded webinars that we've already done. So they will be put on there, and we'll keep adding those so that you can access them if you have missed a webinar that you did want to have a look at. And you can also go to Kidworth's website too, Kidworth CV. They have a link so you can access the websites. And there is also the EdTech Demonstrator website too. They are also publicising our webinars. So again, you can register on their website and then obviously access them. So just so that you know where to go. Sometimes it's not always clear. I know we have our own team with them on as well in our trust. So for those of you who are outside of the trust, there's lots of ways to access it there as well. But really, for tonight, the focus, like you say, is parents and teams, and it's when we think about what parents need to know, it is about how to log in, as simple as that how to log in, how to access it, what are the passwords, what is the login, you know, system that we're using in school. So try to be really clear about that. Again, then you can see here there's an image of a class team. So this is the class team structure that we have in our trust. This is not to say that you have to use that in your school setting if you're outside of our trust, but it's showing parents how to navigate this platform when you have set it up. So again, being clear, showing them what the channels contain, what content is in there, and what's the most useful way of accessing it. And then that thing of why do they need to use it? Why is that so important? You know, why is it important to have this virtual classroom alongside the face-to-face? Surely it's not, you know, it's enough to just be at school and be present there. But actually now the skills that children need, that skill set they're going to need moving into Key Stage 2, it's really important that we use this when it's necessary and when it's appropriate and when it's enhancing the lessons. So don't feel that you've got to shoehorn it in and force it in. It's only when it's, you know, going to make an impact on the learning. So explain to the parents the benefits, say why you're doing it, why you believe in it as a school, you know, why you believe in it as a class teacher, why it's helping them, why and how it's supporting the children. And then also say how the children are actually using it in the classroom. So give them examples of how the children might be using it in their lessons, or how throughout the day they might access it, or how you might be modelling it to the children in the lessons as well. So just giving them that flavour, that overview of why it's an important tool now within our teaching and learning toolkit, as it were. So I just think that's, you know, really important that we're really clear to parents. And then thinking about how we engage parents, obviously we've just touched on that with the question that Lauren just asked me, but virtual workshops are a great thing to, you know, to try to promote this to parents. Virtual meetings I've already mentioned, but also live events run by teachers. So live events are in Teams. They're slightly different to a normal Teams meeting. What's nice about a live event is once you've set it up, the parents can only talk to you through the chat bar, and you can decide which questions you want to show live. So it might be, sometimes you might get a tricky question asked to you and you might not have the answer there and then in that meeting. So you can actually just leave that question in the chat bar. You don't have to show it to the whole audience and make it public. And you can go back to that question, that parent later on, or you can think about that question, maybe go back to SLT, think about the answer, and then maybe put it on your website, or a way that, you know, somewhere where parents can actually see the answer to it, because it might be a really pertinent question, but not one that you want to answer in that live event. So live events can be really useful and one to look into. If you want more information about those, let me know. I can always talk to you after this webinar. Open days, we know, are always good. Obviously at the moment, in the context we're in, probably not possible, but, you know, keep those at the back of your mind, because as we move forward into next year, the year after, we might be able to get there. After school training, it could be that you do small groups or one-to-one after school training with parents. And again, it's those, you know, maybe key parents for your disadvantaged pupils, those that you know, the hard to reach parents that you can't always kind of meet with. You could just invite them in on a one-to-one basis and meet after school. Daytime training, support, and I mean this not necessarily yourselves as teachers, but maybe with technicians. Technicians have time during the day, and again, if you have that parent that can't come after school, too busy, maybe they're at work, you know, we all have busy lives, so it could be there that a technician could really come into their own and they could support the parents with that support as well, and I'm sure they'd be happy to do that. Small groups, one-to-one training I've mentioned, how-to videos, but made by the class teacher, so made by you, because I think that's really important. You have a really nice relationship with the parents. If they see you doing it and talking about it, then they'll feel more happy to then come to you after they've watched that video and say, I didn't quite understand that part of the video, could you explain it in a bit more detail? But, you know, because you personalised it with you as a class teacher doing it, they'll be more happy, you know, they'll be happier to come and speak about it, I think. Parents' evenings, and I don't mean a parents even that you would have, you know, as a one-to-one. I do mean a group of parents. It might be that we're able to do things in the summer term, maybe outdoors. So it might be you can have a parents event, an outdoor event. We could probably set up a screen and you could talk about the future of education and EdTech and really inform them about what's happening and what's going on. I know it is really tricky, but I do think there are ways around it if we're really creative about this. Make a video to show a school day enhanced by technology. So again, if we can't actually have parents in, actually show a video, and it doesn't have to be perfect either. You know, just you walking around, maybe just doing that talk over the video camera as you're walking around is just enough so that parents get a flavour for it and an understanding of what it is, and realise that it's not about screen time all the time. It's also about other technology in school as well. It can be about the VR headsets, it can be about drones and spheros and other bits of technology that you might want to fit in. On your website, make sure that the EdTech news is updated. Simple as that. And social media, Twitter feeds, you know, that parents really appreciate that. Anything that you're doing with your class that's, you know, maybe involving technology, you know, pop a quick picture on there and explain what's been going on. And then maybe child-parent workshops. So once the children, you know, in your class are really happy with using technology, and when it's maybe possible, maybe small groups of parents with their children, invite them in together so that the children can show the parents what they're doing on Teams. So it's not adult-led, it's child-led. And it's amazing how powerful that can be when, you know, parents go into school with their child, because the child takes on a different role and they really do come into their own and become the teacher, as it were, and are really happy to show their parents. But parents see their child in a different light as well, and it's quite an interesting way of looking at it. So quite powerful, that one.
Can I just, before you move on to that slide, Jo, with the back, just an additional point with the engaging parent slide, from the experience of myself using Teams with Year 1 at the school I work at in Farndon. Another way that we've been engaging parents is, there are lots of things that you mentioned there was how we were interacting with them, but one thing that we wanted to get our parents to do is to celebrate the learning that they've been doing at home with their child and uploading it onto the Celebrate Learning channel on our class Teams. Because within Discovery Schools Trust, most of our schools are familiar with Tapestry, which they used in foundation stage, and they became quite, in majority of schools, very proficient in uploading pieces of work or any experiences that they've been engaging in at home and uploading it onto Tapestry. But we wanted to still get that kind of flavour and that approach by using Tapestry. By using Teams, and many of our parents now are sharing things that they've been doing at home, so some of the home learning opportunities, but uploading it through Teams and using it as a similar platform to how they use Tapestry, but being able to kind of, so we can celebrate and see what they've been up to at home. So I found that engaging, you know, that quite engaging, you know, that having that two-way conversation, and then we are able to, you know, give a reaction to that post through Teams, so liking or loving, or, you know, offering a symbol to kind of add, you know, that we've recognised that they've posted something, or we added a comment which would then gave that kind of special moment that they've given and taken the time to pop something on there, and we've reacted to it as the class teacher.
I think that's a really good point. You're absolutely right. What we mentioned, I think, last week, wasn't it, about triangulating it so that it's the parents, teachers and the children all going on there and realising that we can all share and celebrate. Yeah. That learning. Yeah, it's a really. But
you're right. We're having to advocate that first and really kind of push it and be in terms of, this is the opportunity that Teams can offer. And then you know, once they feel confident and, you know, you're instilling that vision of it being that one-stop shop, as you mentioned, then the parents feel that they've got that, you know, that confidence to be able to do it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right, it is the confidence. It's that element. Yes. It's that biggest barrier. It's the confidence. So really, just this question here, why should we use other learning platforms? We still need to make sure that we're extending pupils' understanding and knowledge and skills. So by obviously using Teams alongside the other learning platforms, it's broadening their knowledge, and that's what we want to do. We don't want to slim it down and streamline it too much. They still need to be able to access other apps and other platforms. And also it will engage them as well. Sometimes if they're accessing the same thing all the time, you'll lose that engagement, so, and their interest levels. So it's about keeping it a creative place for learning and sparking that curiosity, as I put here, and inspiring those new ways of learning. But what you will find as well is, as you use it more and more moving forward, it will personalize and create individual learning pathways without you realizing it. And maybe not so, it won't be so obvious maybe in Key Stage 1 to start with, but as they move into Key Stage 2 will really benefit from what you've put in, all that hard work that you've put in Key Stage 1, because they'll fly with that, and that they will start to understand that learning is for them. It's not about pleasing the teacher or pleasing their parents. It's actually about them and what they're getting from it. And that's what I mean about it really individual, the individual learning pathway starts to grow, and they have a real appreciation of and school and learning full stop, really, which I don't think we've always got with our traditional methods. But I think a blend of traditional and with technology devices, it will help to do that. So additional support, I've just put on here that there is support on the Microsoft website, so they've got web pages for parents, so there's guidance there. I have put the links on at the very end for these as well, so don't feel that you're missing anything by just seeing the images. The web links are there. Common sense, and I'll pop this on just briefly for parents. Sometimes parents are very concerned about e-safety. We've got a webinar coming up about that later on in the year, but I'll pop that on just so you can guide them to that one, because again, it's a nice one. It gives some nice tips and hints and quick video clips that parents can access. You can go on to school website, so always, your school website always has policies on there and updates, so guide parents to look at your school website. The EdTech Demonstrator website also has support on there in different ways. They have resources on there for teachers, so go in there and have a look, because other schools alongside ourselves will also have resources that they've used with their parents, so there's additional support there that you can use. And also there's something called the EdTech community, and again, the EdTech schools and other schools that have joined the EdTech programme will put information onto that community area. So it's a great place to share. So please go on there and add your own tips and hints as well, because I think the more we do that and we collaborate on this, the better we're all going to get. So as you can see, there's Microsoft websites, e-safety websites, EdTech websites there that you can access for additional support to help parents, and for you as teachers and educators to get information from. And finally, there's just our trust website there as well that we put parent web resources onto as well, just in case you wanted to have another place to look at. Because you're accessing today's session, I have also put on CPD Code. So if you do use the Microsoft Education Centre, please feel free to access this code, because you are, by accessing this webinar, you are doing some training. So please, you can benefit by putting that code in to your transcript and claiming that. That will go onto your transcript there. So in the MEC, if you haven't heard of the MEC, the Microsoft Education Centre, just type it into the web browser and you can go on, and what happens is you will register. It will create you an account, and you will see you've got a little profile there, and you've got a redeem achievement code. If you click on that redeem achievement code, which is this one here, that one that starts with T, you can put it in and claim it that way. But every course that you do on the MEC, you'll be able to, it will save to your transcript. So just a quick mention of the MEC there, but and also something for people to benefit from in this session too. And as I mentioned, they are the links. What we'll do is after this, those people that have joined us live today, we will send the PowerPoint out to you as well, so you'll be able to access all the hyperlinks here that you can see, so that you can get that information for teams and parents. So what I'm going to do now, if that's okay, Lauren, is just stop presenting from this mode, and I'm just going to go into a live team and just share that with everybody and just talk.
Brilliant. I think that'd be really useful.
Looks like, yeah. So I think sometimes
to see it in action would be, I'm sure, for many people, really, really useful.
That's right, unless my screen decides to. It looks like it has done at the moment. It's not going to be happy, so bear with me.
That's okay.
It's never a good start when it does that. Might be because I've clicked sound. I think so.
So whilst you're waiting to share, shall I ask you just a couple of questions to you to see, just kind of summarise the kind of bits that you've just mentioned in your presentation? And you've covered so much of this already, but as you know, in your opinion, what do you think some of the key benefits are for using Teams? So maybe like your top 3, or you know, just, or I think is it working? I don't know, it might be working now, but yeah, maybe a couple of key benefits to using Teams. Why would you use Teams if you were advocating it to others?
I think it won't be initially, but in the end, in the long run, it will be workload. Can you see that now, Lauren?
I can see it.
You see my screen? Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Yeah, definitely workload, but also collaborating with teachers as well, that collaboration that you will have, and the sharing of planning and the sharing of workload as you use it more and more. So it's not just, you know, that element with the children, but it's also that element with your colleagues as well, and how you can, again, that will help because it reduces that planning time that you have. And then if you're in a MAT, or you link with other schools around you, you can also link with them and share work with them as well. So across school sharing and sharing planning that way helps to reduce workload that way too. So there's so much.
I've heard it works really well in terms of if you're a 1-form entry school, and you are hooking up maybe with another school in your local area that also is 1-form entry, and then you've got that instant link to share planning and make things a lot easier for you, and you know, particularly in a workload capacity, but also just sharing ideas and collaborating and not feeling like it's all, you know, all for you to do. So it's such a good tool for collaboration in that sense.
That's right. And again, if colleagues are off ill, you can you can Teams into another classroom, and you can actually teach 2 classes at the same time. Yeah. Whilst they're probably being supported by an LSA or HLTA. So yeah, there's reams to it. You're absolutely right. It's vast, isn't it?
And I think actually once you get your head around it, it's so user friendly as well in terms of the layout, the channels. Once you know where your channels are or within that class team, I think it's, you know, it is user friendly. You just got to get your head round where everything is. Once you've got that bit, you know, it's all categorized really clearly. And it's accessible.
That's absolutely right. So you can see this.
I can see you now. You carry on, Jo.
No, I'm just going to say it doesn't normally take that long. I apologise. Okay. So you can see we've got this top section here in the team, the class notebook, assignments, grades and insights. Now, what we're saying,
Jo, I don't think we can see that actually. I've got a create box down one side.
Yeah, let me just reshare. I think that's what I was thinking. I couldn't see the red line. Can you see now? Yes.
We can see now, Jo. Thank you.
Yeah, that's why I was hesitating. I was thinking, but I can't see the red box, but we're there now. So in our trust, we've set up a class team structure for EYFS and Key Stage 1. So an EYFS class would have this structure, a Year 1 class would have it, and the Year 2 class would have this structure. And you can see that in this structure, you've got the channels down the side here, and you've also got class notebook, assignments, grades and insights. Now, I'm not asking you to look at, you know, focus on these areas at all at the minute. These are great tools, but if you're just being introduced to Teams at the minute, then all we're asking you to do is focus on the channels and the tabs at the top in the actual channels. Now we've set up this structure, and you're probably looking at it and thinking, well, actually, there's too many channels, and that's fine. If you need to reduce those channels down, you can do. You don't have to go with as many. We've put this in just in case schools have to go back into a lockdown scenario, really. So we've left in the Assemblies channel, and we've left in the playground channel in case the children want to talk to one another. But I'll explain about those in a moment in a bit more detail. In every team, there's always a general channel, so you will always have that channel. And in that channel, we've decided this channel will be where you talk to your parents. You'll give those key messages, and this channel is actually locked so that so if I go to the ... here and I go to manage channel, only owners can post messages here. So that means only teachers can post the messages, which is great. So you won't get lots of other chatter going on. So you won't get the children adding comments here. They won't reply to those messages. You won't get the parents replying in here either, but you will want them to tell you that they've actually responded to a message. So what you will want them to do is come up to the top right hand corner here, and you will want them to give you a thumbs up to tell you that they have read it. So if I hover over that now, you can see that I've liked that, I've read that message. So you will want parents to do that, but it's nice in that general channel that you can block that out so that the key messages are there for the parents at the right time and they can see it. Also at the top here, you've got the files tab. Now we don't tend to use this one in the general channel, but you can use the files if you want to. You can upload files here if you find there's a need to do that. The class materials folder is always in the general channel. What's nice about that for the class teacher is if you add anything to that class materials folder, only you can adapt and change it. For anybody else, like parents and children, it's view only. So anything you put in that folder is a view only folder for the members in this team. If I come along to the next tab, now these are tabs that we've added in ourselves. So you can see here we've got our Discovery Schools Trust website, and this is now where parents can come and access this as well. They can just view it here. They don't have to go out onto a web browser or onto the internet. They can view it just in the team itself. And if they want to extend that and make that broader, so they want to get rid of this bar down the side here, if they go to the little symbol at the top here that's got the arrows at both ends of the line, you can expand it, and that will expand the whole thing, so it's a lot bigger and easier to view. And then if you want to go back, you can just close that again, so you've got that normal view again. So you can add the websites in here on the tabs on that general page. So it's giving, this general page is where all the key information will be, a bit like in your classroom where you'd have a notice board. Probably this would be like your notice board. And also you could then have your school website. Now there's an additional thing, I will show you this, but don't worry about this too much just yet, but you can create something called a home page as well. And it's a bit like having your own website in the team. So you can say, welcome to, say, Bumblebee's class here, and you can have that welcome message. You can have a picture of your class maybe here. You can have access to key documents that you want the children or the parents to access. So it's got very much a website feel to it. Don't worry about this too much yet though, but this is something that you might want to keep at the back of your mind for maybe later on in the year. But you can have an option for quick links. You can put yourself on there as a class teacher, explain a little bit about yourself, important dates that are coming up, and class news and announcements. And then at the bottom there, any video clips that might be useful. So it's very much like, as I say, a web page there within your general channel. But again, you don't have to use that. These are just ideas. The Assemblies channel we've left in just in case we have to go into a lockdown situation. So we have to go back to classes having assemblies virtually. So here you could have a tab at the top for assemblies, and any recorded assemblies that you record and you put into the Stream app, you can then access here. And the children, if it was, say it was a celebration assembly, you could put that recording into your Teams area here, and the children could then watch it back with their parents at home, and they could say, look, I got an award in this assembly, or I got a certificate. So they could be really proud of it. there. So that's a nice way to set up that channel. But there's lots of ways you can use these. These are just quick examples just to show you how to really utilize this, the channel space and the tab space here. So in the Celebrate Learning channel, it's very much about putting in pieces of work that you think are really good, and then allowing in that posts area, allowing other children to reply to that and put their message in and say, you know, well done. Imagine this is Jack. Well done, Jack. You know, and putting a little emoji in for their friend, and that's really nice because it's not just the teacher saying well done, but then it's also their friends saying it as well. And they, you know, it's you know, just nice to really look at that work in a different way, and it's still there. They can go back to it and show other people and show their parents at a later date as well. You can also add in whiteboards too. So if you wanted to do a little bit of whiteboard work, whiteboards have changed. So you've got sticky notes, text, reactions there. If I just click on that, just get rid of that, you can put little messages on the whiteboard and children can collaborate in this area and they can put their messages in, but another person might put a message over here and they can read each other's messages and your messages on that whiteboard. Again, there's a little bit of teaching around that and a little bit of understanding, but a really nice way to use the whiteboard. Art lessons, I won't show you, but the art and computing lessons in our schools, we do in a slightly different way. We use pre-recorded lessons. So the pre-recorded lessons, again, you could put those in here and the children could go back and watch the pre-recorded lessons if they want to and access those there as well in the same way that we did with the assemblies. The English channel and the maths channel, very similar sort of structure. It's about putting in either messages to the parents and the children in here just to explain how to use the channel, so how to use this space message, and then useful tabs, just explaining to them what's in the tabs and what you've put in and updated. And then putting in links to, you know, websites. So here we've got the BBC Bite Size website, and it might be a page that you want them to access. So it might be back in the posts that you put a quick message in and you might mention that you want them to do something on that website, and then they go in and have a look at that particular area. So, you know, it really sort of focuses where you want them to go. You know, there's things like if you've got espresso in your school, they can log in from here. So again, they've not got to go out into a web browser. They can sign in with their Microsoft link there and go straight into Discovery Education if that's what you use in your schools. Maths is very similar. The tabs at the top though here are Times Table Rockstars and Number Bots, and then we've also got Mathletics and Maths Frame. I will show you the Maths Frame because again, if you've not come across that, that's a nice one to use, and it's also got ITPs in there, so you can use the those old ITPs that we used to teach with. They work in this structure too. So, you know, all those sort of kind of useful resources they can access here. The parent channel, so the homeschool communication channel, this is, you might want to use it, you might not, depending on your context and how you might have other things set up. You might just want to stick with Tapestry if you're using that in EYFS, but as long as you keep your expectation high with this can work really well. And as long as you explain to parents that this is a communication channel just for those general questions that might benefit everybody, and you know, it's not about being a social media area, it's not about you responding extremely quickly, it's about you seeing a question then responding when you can. So as long as you make it clear what your intention is with this channel, it can be used really well. So, you know, again, talk about that maybe with SLT, see how you feel about that one, but that one can be very useful still back in school, depending, as I say, on your context and where you are. Phonics is very much like the maths and English. Again, you can put your phonics websites in here, and again the children can go on here and access those websites from the channel. The playground we put in, but this time we've limited not to the whole day, just for lunchtime, so that between 12 and 1:15 they could go on and use the playground, and you can put games in there as well. So it might be that you want them to if they're having a lunchtime where they're feeling as though they've not got they're feeling a bit lonely, or they're feeling a bit sad that day, or they want to come in, they could go on to the Teams area, they could access the games that you put on there for them. I think this one's a BBC. Files tab there, but that works really well. And again, if they want to, they can also have a chat with their friends in there, but again, explain your expectations, that it is about them chatting. You will have to monitor that though as a teacher, and what I didn't mention is, as a school, it is always good to have a member of SLT in your team so that they can also monitor what is going on and the activity, it helps and supports you with that. The reading channel, so things like you can add at the top here, tabs like Oxford Owl, so they can access reading at home, books at home. And if you've ever created, some of our schools in our trust have created virtual libraries using PDFs. They're really nice because you've got links to books and they can access the books and read them online. The school letters and information channel, again, those quick messages that you might want to put out there for parents, you can put on this channel, but you can also link it to your school website and the newsletters that you might put on the school website. So this one links to the Kidworth website, and all the newsletters that are put onto that website are here as well, and parents can access those within the team structure too. So they've got that instant way of looking at it. Story time, so for those children that might also and parents that might want to, parents when they're busy might not be able to read a story at night, so you could put on some virtual storybooks for children, and they can then go in and you know, I know it's not ideal, you want to have parents reading it to their children in the evening, but if they don't have time, children could have so you can see it's very interactive there. So you can, as I say, you've got access to websites that you know has a really nice link, you can put those in. And then finally, the last channel is the Tapestry channel, and I'm sure you saw that in the presentation. You can, you know, parents and children can access Tapestry within Teams, and in EYFS, if you can just teach them to do that, that's great, because it's a starting point. And then as the children then and the parents move into year one, it's much easier for then year one teachers to be able to use the next set of apps or platforms with the children and the parents, and then, as you know, year one to year two. So it really is about using the channels and the tabs really in Key Stage 1 and really utilising that area, and not worrying too much yet about class notebook and assignments at the moment. I would say if you did want to move on to something though, assignments would be a great one to look at if you've got the time and, you know, you feel confident with it. But as I say, use the things that you are confident with and happy with. So I think if I stop sharing there, Lauren, that is me.
Brilliant. That was so informative to, you know, even for myself, just going back and reflecting on, I was jotting down a couple of extra bits. I think, oh, I want to add that now, or I didn't do that in September, but they'll be ready for that now. Just to kind of keep building on what you've already got, you know, like adding fresh new things to keep the parents engaged and to offer, you know, additional opportunities for the children at home and at school to access. So that was really informative. Thank you so much, Jo. The final question. Oh, sorry. Were you going to say something?
It's also about keeping that balance and not making it too onerous, because you're absolutely right. It's about updating it, but when it's appropriate for you, don't feel this is, because it can feel like another thing to do, because you're already very busy in schools, and we all really understand that. But if you can integrate it and weave it into what you're doing and make it relevant and useful, then that's going to be the most powerful way to get the parent buy-in as well. That's all I was going to say. Sorry.
No, I agree. I think you're right, not putting everything all on at once, because obviously all the you know, you don't want to overwhelm yourself, your colleagues and the parents, and just, you know, have a steady flow, and knowing if you plan out what you know the general things that you know that need to go on in September, and then maybe map out what you're going to kind of add, and, you know, link it to your long-term plan, your medium-term plans, and seeing what you can add in to make things relevant. But the final question I've got for you, Joe, and I think we all know what the answer is going to be to this, but would you recommend Teams to other teachers and to parents?
Absolutely. There is a bit of a learning curve to it, as we all know, but I do think if you can persevere with it, put it in small steps, small stages, when it goes wrong, just accept it and just try and laugh about it. I know it can be very frustrating at times, but when you do have those moments where it goes wrong, don't let it deter you. Just keep going with it, because the results later on will be they really will be worth it, and children will get a lot out of it as well as yourselves. Absolutely. So I hope that helps, and I'm really sorry.
You've given a really good overview. You've given an excellent overview, and I think really it kind of encapsulates everything that Teams is about and what it can offer for yourself as a teacher and a member of staff working in a school, but what, you know, the possibilities that it can offer our children, and then the parents. And then you've got that triangulation that we spoke about earlier on, which is so key. But thank you so much, Joe. It was really informative. So at this point, I thought it would be excellent to open up to the floor. I know we've only got 2 participants in the meeting at the moment, but would you like to ask any questions? Feel free to type in the chat bar. Joe, are they able to take their mics off at all if they wanted to?
Yes, if they put their hand up, you can do it, Lauren, from the controls at the top. So in the
if you do want to ask a question, oh, Dawn is asking a question. Brilliant. So do I press the 3 dots? No.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and allow
3 dots on their name, Joe.
I've just done it. So Dawn, can you see if you can talk, Dawn? We should be able to hear you now.
There's her mic still off on mine. Oh,
is it
I think
now?
You're on, Dawn.
Is it there?
We can hear you, Dawn. Yes.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to ask, so on the channels where you've added all those like your subheadings, I suppose, how do you add all of those then? I think I have done it once, but a long time ago, but I can't for the life of me remember how I did it. And then what was the other question? I can't remember what the other one was now. I've forgotten it. It's got out.
It might come back to you in a minute.
Yeah.
Did you want to
and also
channels?
Our school is set up as class. They're all in their class teams. So do you think it's better adding them as like you've done and doing it as EYFS Key Stage 1 and then one for Key Stage 2, or are they best staying all in their classes?
Stay in their classes. Yeah.
Okay,
definitely.
So then you'd kind of like, you'd set up a separate one like EYFS and Key Stage 1, that would be a different one on top.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is just like a test. This is like just like a model version of what a Key Stage 1 and EYFS team would look like, but then in individual schools, every class would have their own page.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So Dawn, I'm just going to show you really quickly, and then I'm going to have to go, Lauren. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
I've got another. So if you go to, so if I just explain quickly, there's a little that plus sign there. If you go to that plus sign, and then you go to the website, the pink website tab. You just, so say it was phonics, for example. It's not going to be, but phonics there, and then all you would need to do is go to your web browser. Find the URL that you wanted to use for that. I don't know what news story is going to come up here. And you could find, let's see, I don't know what will come up here. Yeah, that's the one. That'll do. And then you want to copy that URL. So I go to the top there, right click on that. Copy that, and then come back down, paste it into the URL. And then say, now you've got the option to post into the channel. I don't want it to post in though, so I'm going to leave that off and save there, and then that appears at the top there and it goes in.
Okay, so then the bits down the bits down the side where you've got general and then it says assemblies, and how do you put all those in?
So Lauren, are you all right to show that bit? Are you okay to share and show that?
Can you just, if you don't mind, I would need a little bit of support with that.
So down the side here, so you go to the dot there, Dawn. And then
add channel.
Add channel. That's it. And you literally just put the name in that you want. So say it is, we'll just put a reading group for now for this one. there, and then you can keep it as a standard channel, or you can lock it. I'll just go with standard for now, but Dawn, if you want to contact me after or later on, you know, in the week or something, please get in touch, and I'll show you how to do a private channel as well.
Okay.
And then you literally just click add, and it will go into your channel
generate
there.
down the side.
Right.
It's my reading there. Yeah.
Got it.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
All right. I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to
that's
shoot.
Fine. It's fine, Jo. You go. Thank you so much for presenting this evening. Much appreciated. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dawn.
Thank you.
For
Bye-bye.
okay. Bye, Lauren.
Did you want to ask anything else at all?
No, that was it. That was it. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm good. Thanks.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for attending. Much appreciated. Laura, is there anything else that you wanted to ask at all? Don't feel free. If you didn't want to, just don't say anything. Don't put your hand up. It's fine. But thank you so much for attending this evening. I really appreciate your time. I know we're all very busy, but I hope you found it useful and you got a lot out of Jo's presentation. So for now, take care, everybody. See you soon.
Thank you very much.
See you soon. Bye-bye.